Let's see. Testing here to see if this works. We are live. Cool. All right. Okay. Well, I don't expect anybody to jump on and watch this at this time. This is me more or less testing out a new setup. Hey, hey there. Yeah, I'm sort of back. I'm back. I'm testing out a new. I'm using StreamYard now instead of what I used before, so I'm kind of getting used to the new landscape here. But there's been enough stuff going on that I figured I needed to jump on and do a little talking. Um, if I guess I'll say this now. If any of you guys are going to be out at RSA tech conference, this I guess it starts Monday. I'll be out there in San Fran. So if anyone's going to be out there, look for me. I'll be around. Cool. All right. This StreamYard is already better than what I used to use. So this is awesome. Hey everybody. Love the love. I'm driving, so I'm just listening. Awesome. Appreciate it. That's a cool name. Creator. I like that. Holger K. What's up? What's up? Mark M. Nice. All right. Cool. So I want to jump on here because, obviously, I think I said this a few times. I would be back in May. Obviously, we're a little early from that, but it's been crazy. I've been so swamped at work. We've had a lot of great project stuff going on, and finally we're starting to get come up for air. So it's time to get back on here. I was on the earnings call with Farzad and Emmett and Matt, just everybody, Alexandra, Herbert, the whole crew, and it was interesting to see everybody's perspective, how it's what they took away from the earnings call, and something that I think will be a theme on what I'm going to talk about today is that I think we see kind of a dichotomy, right? There's this juxtaposition, or as Elon would say, fate loves irony. But we go into these quarterly earnings calls, and we have all these expectations and everything, and then we get upset when they aren't reflecting exactly what we think they should reflect. So we go in with that certain mindset, and at the same time, any other day that doesn't have to do with the earnings, or the week before, the week after, and we all sit there and say, oh, we're long-term investors, all about the story and all that. Yet then we get into this, 1 week before, 1 week after earnings, and all of a sudden all that talk is out the window. And if you're saying that, well, it's just because you drink the Kool-Aid, and you're not seeing the numbers for what they are. And it's kind of hilarious to me to see this. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like someone's got to call people out on it, because it's either one way or the other. You can't have both. So let's, before we get into talking about earnings, I'm not going to do a deep dive on. I'm just going to give kind of my higher level thoughts on it, which I guess maybe it'll be a little deep. But let's take a step back. Let's open up the aperture and let's think about where we are in the economy. All right. So we are in a unique point in time, right? And if any of you have any kind of engineering experience, or just anything in life, really, a point in time is never a good measurement of anything. And that's all earnings ever are for any company. It's a point in time, and if anything, it's actually a point in time of the past. It's a reflection of the past. But right now, we live in this point in time where we have all kinds of craziness going on, from geopolitical issues, Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, China, United States, cartels in South America, oil revolutions happening, energy revolutions happening, transition from EVs to ICE vehicles. We see strikes going on all over Paris and France in general. We see droughts. I mean, it's just we're in a crazy time, right? The thought of a nuclear war has never been higher, or the rhetoric on it, and so we live in a very contentious time, a very divisive time. And I mean, just look at it. We have the former president, love him or hate him, doesn't matter. The point is that now they're trying to prosecute him. That's never happened. Not in the United States. It's more of a third world country kind of thing that tends to happen. And so tensions are high. We got the debt ceiling coming up. We are in such a volatile, crazy time. And despite all that, you still have Tesla continuing with the mission. And what's the mission? Well, the mission, I think, is more than just one thing, but the main mission is to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. Now, as far as I can tell, that mission hasn't changed. It seems like they're still doing what they're supposed to do, what they want to do, what the goal is. And up to this point, it's worked out for us. It's been a true north that has stood the test of time over the last 20 years. But here we are in this economy, and people have lost a lot of money. We've all lost a lot of money, right? And when I say lost a lot of money, your net worth has gone down, right? Unless you've sold or unless you got, some margin calls, you didn't really lose money. You lost value within the stock that you held. Even if you did lose a lot of money, let's say you did. People are emotional right now. People are upset. They blame Elon, they blame Tesla, they blame the Fed, they blame Biden, they blame Trump, they blame the United States, they blame China, they blame oil prices, they blame oil companies. There's plenty of blame apparently to go around, and everybody wants to find the person to blame. And I think that's probably not a very nuanced way of just looking at life or a very nuanced way of really assessing what's going on. The truth is, or my truth, or the truth, however you want to see it, is that we are in a cycle. And the economy has always gone through cycles, right? Whether it was in the 80s, whether it was a bullish cycle in the 90s, the dot com bust, boom and bust, whether it was '08, the financial crisis, then a decade of bullishness, but, slower GDP growth. And now here we are with, post pandemic, pre pandemic, and we're in just this new cycle. And I think we just got to take a step back and realize that we're in a very tough macroeconomics place. But it's not going to last. It never lasts. And we go through these cycles. And in the long term, again, if you open up the aperture, you will see that these cycles lead to higher highs and higher growth, right? It's the nature of the way these things tend to go. So so just look at it with that lens. I now would like to dive into like the earnings a little bit. So we have all that going on that I just spoke about, and we're seeing layoffs happen all across the tech industry. We see banks, Silicon Valley, SVB, go under. We see what happened with the whole FTX scandal, right? This is all happening around us. We see what's happening with Ford and GM and Volkswagen. We see what's happening with the Japanese automakers. And here comes Tesla. They report their earnings, and people are so disappointed on it. They're disappointed because their margins fell below 20% to, what was it, 18.5? People are upset about it. They're upset because, well, Tesla, they seem to be going the wrong way. They seem to be, cutting prices, losing margin, and it seems like there's no demand, and that's why they have to keep cutting prices. That's one way to look at it. And so we have a cry, right? A plead by many, many. It's the same, desire and want that we've seen and heard for a long time, which is Tesla, Elon, please advertise, before you cut prices again, advertise and see what happens. And I personally don't really have a problem with the idea of advertising. If they decide that it's a good idea to advertise, I'm all about it. If they decide it's not a good idea to advertise, I'm all about it. Why? Why do I say that? And why don't I have more of an opinion on which way it should go? Well, the reason is because I don't have all the details. And I don't have all the data. I don't understand what's going on internally. I don't understand what certain goals and priorities they may have for or against advertising. But these are smart people. These are people that I've trusted essentially all of my net worth with. And if I'm going to make such an investment like that, well, then I'm not going to start to question them the second things look bad. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it's just Tesla that looks bad. When, as I painted before, the entire world economy looks bad right now. We are in this cycle. So I would rather, defer to the people who have all the information and who can make a nuanced decision on what to do. That's just how I feel about it. And so when I look at the earnings, yeah, they're not what I thought they were gonna be. They were worse than what I thought they were gonna be. But again, I'm not gonna be upset about it, right? It's yes, I want certain things to play out. Yes, I want them to be a $10 trillion company yesterday. Of course, yeah, we all do. But that's not pragmatic. It's not realistic, and that's tone deaf to the environment we currently are in. So with the earnings, I actually wasn't that disappointed. I thought there were a lot of bullish things that were said, and I think there's a bigger play at hand that seemed to just be lost with all the noise. And I'll get into what that bigger thing is that I believe is at play here. But with all the noise going on, I think we missed a lot of like great things. And bear with me because I have never used this before. This is my first time using StreamYard. So I'm going to try to share my screen. And for those of you who are just listening, I will try to be detailed about what I'm sharing. Yep. All right. Share screen. Let me choose the right window. And I have no idea how this is going to show up on your end. Okay. So I want to zoom in here. Let me see if I can. All right. There we go. Okay. So sorry if this looks a little weird. I have I'll tell you what I have for work. I have one monitor vertical. So it looks weird here. So actually, you know what? Just give me a second. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop sharing, stop share screen, and I'm gonna flip this over because I would rather make this not suck for you guys. So let me do this and I'll do that. All right, let me come back to myself. All right, we're gonna try this again. Let me share my screen. Yep, share screen, window. Okay. All right. This is not going the way I thought it was going to go. Try this now, see if this works. Okay, I think we're going to work now. I think we're going to work now. Sorry, I know this is annoying everybody, but I'm learning here. I'm learning. I'm a quick learner. So I think we got it here. There we go. All right. Yeah, you would think, yes, you would think, hey, it's 2023. You don't know how to share your screen yet. It's a little different with this. Okay, so I'm in the deck here, and this is the earnings deck. And so I just want to highlight a couple things and show a couple things. So the first thing I want to highlight is, just something that they talk about here right out the gate. It says, in the current macroeconomic environment, we see this year as a unique opportunity for Tesla. As again, just remember that line, a unique opportunity for Tesla. As many car makers are working through challenges with the unit economics of their EV programs, think Ford, Volkswagen, GM, we aim to leverage our position as a cost leader. We are focused on rapidly growing production, investments in autonomy, and vehicle software, and remaining on track with our growth investments. So just think about that for a second. They're acknowledging the economy's, just in a very bad place. And Tesla has the luxury, right? And it's an earned luxury that they can work on dropping down their margins by lowering prices for the vehicles so that they can continue to produce and not slow down with what they're doing. Because if they did slow down just out of ego or to stroke shareholders' wants and desires for profit, well, then that's not accelerating the mission. And again, I think I'll explain in a second why I think there's something else going on here about why lowering prices, taking a hit on margins is actually going to be better for shareholders. And you may or may not agree with me, but I'll explain my rationale. But again, here they're saying that they have the luxury to be able to do this. And while they're doing that and they're continuing to sell every vehicle that they can produce and growing their lead and growing, the amount of, you know, uh, I don't want to say cult, but fandom or loyalists as people like once you drive a Tesla, you're not going back. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like an iPhone. Like once you start using it, you're not going back. Um, but but yeah, so sorry, I'm reading a comment here. But yeah, so with that said, everyone, all the other automakers are trying to survive. They're trying to figure out how to get profitable. They're trying to figure out how to scale. They're trying to figure out how to do what Tesla's doing. Meanwhile, Tesla is working on the other things that are really important. So, anyways, let me finish this last thing that we're saying here. Our near-term pricing strategy considers a long-term view on a per vehicle profitability given the potential lifetime value of a Tesla vehicle through autonomy. They are telling you exactly what you need to know. All right. Exact. They're thinking about autonomy. Everything they're doing is thinking about autonomy, supercharging, connectivity, and service. We expect that our product pricing will continue to evolve upwards and downwards, depending on a number of factors. All right. Um, I'm not going to keep reading all of this. I just want to show one other thing that just, I think it's worth looking at. Look at this. How awesome is this? I love seeing these pictures of the Cybertruck here in the production line. Look at this. This guy sitting here with micrometer doing some measurements. This looks like potentially the press. Can't really tell, to be honest. And oh man, I cannot wait to get my Cybertruck. I don't care if they raise the prices on the Cybertruck, by the way. I just hope my FSD price is locked in. All right. So let me stop sharing my screen and let me stop teasing you guys and get to the main point I'm trying to drive to. So why do I feel the way I do about these earnings and why I think it's good for them to drive down the prices and sacrifice margin now? Why does Tesla keep talking about autonomy and the future value of these cars? And what do they mean by growing their lead? Because when you see growing our lead, you obviously think, okay, well, it means they can produce more vehicles and sell more vehicles, and that's it, right? I don't think that's what they mean at all about their lead. I don't think that's their goal. I think there's something completely different going on. I take a little sip there. So what do I think is going on? Well, I think we live in a society that's constantly bombarded by hype cycles. Right? We had a hype cycle for, and I don't mean hype cycle like in a bad way. I just mean, we all gravitate towards this new popular thing. So sometimes they're legit, sometimes it's nothing. It's hyperware. But we had Bitcoin, right? Or crypto in general. Everybody was on board with that. I do think crypto is real, but it's kind of faded from popularity amongst like the general public of talking about it. And then it got into the metaverse, right? Then everything became about the metaverse, and that's been just honestly air. That seems to not have come to fruition. And then from there, we went from what was the next one? There's something else that happened that I was thinking about. I can't come to it, but anyways, now we're here, and it's all about OpenAI, ChatGPT, generative AI, and I think this is a paradigm shift that's going to stay, but I'm not quite sure it's going to stay in the way people think it's going to stay. I think people think that this is like we're on the cusp of I don't know, like some iRobot moment that's these chatbots or this version of AI is going to be sentient. I don't think we're there. We're near that. What I do think is going to happen is that it, I think every company is going to be built upon a foundation model, and that's essentially going to be the new compute layer, right? And so, all right, well, what do I mean by that? So let's talk about what a foundation model is first. So think of foundation model. So ChatGPT is something everybody's probably familiar with at this point, and really that's ChatGPT is built on top of the foundation of GPT, right? And GPT is a transformer. Essentially, it's a neural network that's trained on large text base, and it has what makes it transformer is its ability to have back propagation. So long and the short, it's just this foundational model that is used to be able to build other things on top of it, right? And that's essentially what ChatGPT is. And I'm kind of making this really layman's term here. But these foundation models are very important. And OpenAI is not the only one with them. Okay. These foundation models have been around for a long time. They're getting more powerful. They're getting trained on, you know, billions and billions of, or they're built on billions and billions of parameters. These foundation models have been, have their biases set. And what they allow people to do is, instead of, company XYZ having to create a foundation model for which would cost them millions and millions of dollars for the compute, for the training, for the labels, data labeling, all that, for the tuning the biases and all that. And instead, what I think you're going to start to see is all of these foundation models get created. It'll democratize what's happening with LLMs, and companies are going to be able to use that, index or inject their smaller data set, right? Because at this point, these foundation models are trained, and they can do a lot of really amazing things. But the second you take your proprietary subset of data and you inject it into these models, well, then those models can learn really quickly and be applicable to your niche, right? Your use case. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that. This will be the foundation for compute. I think that the companies that are probably going to make the biggest, strides with this will be the companies that can live in that middle layer, right? That training, building, versus the companies that are going to try to build on top of it, right? So it's almost like it's almost like this is like the new APIs kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe that's not the best analogy, but anyways, let me get back on track with Tesla. So and just to justify this one more time, even Elon talked about this on the earnings call about Dojo and essentially have training as a service kind of thing. So I think that's where it'll live. And so when we go back to this, why is it so important for Tesla to sacrifice margins, to drop prices, to be able to sell everything they have? Well, there's basic economics on this where they don't want to have buildup of inventory. So yeah, that's logical. That's a no brainer, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. See what I did there? Um, but what I think is even more important is Tesla wants to get as much data as possible. And I think that's what this is about. There are many things that this is about, but I think the main goal here is to get FSD complete by the end of this year, maybe midway through next year, essentially before Giga Mexico is live and pushing out robotaxis, right? Like we're in a time crunch now, is the way I see it. Especially if they keep talking about the next gen vehicle is a robotaxi. So the only way that they're really going to be able to get to this point is to get even more data, so they can train more and iterate faster and faster, right? To upload or increase the amount of compute they have, so that they can train faster and quicker. Based on the earnings call, it doesn't sound like Dojo is going to be that anytime soon. At this rate, it seems like Dojo is probably really just going to become a side thing that they can offer that as a service, and it may not have anything to do with FSD in from now until completion. Maybe post completion of FSD, where we have robo taxis, Dojo gets to a point where it's good enough where they use it themselves. But right now, it doesn't seem like we're there based on the earnings call. But Tesla, I think, is on a time crunch now for this. They got the robotaxi factory being built. That's going to get going, and so they need to get this. They need to get this figured out now. And it's not just in the States, right? It's in Europe, it's in China, it's in Australia and South America. And so the more vehicles they get out there, the more data they're going to have, the more they're going to be able to start training. Okay, so why is this such an important time now? I think for investors to really understand this. Well, I think up to this point, unless you have FSD beta and unless you've used it several times and been able to see the progression with the updates, it's really hard to have a appreciation for how quickly these things can progress. And with ChatGPT, it's I think the first time the public can really see because someone put a web interface into it so people can leverage this LLM for the first time. The public can see how fast these things can iterate and evolve, right? We literally went from just having this, ChatGPT 3.5 to ChatGPT 4 to then they had GPT, which was more so for people who know how to leverage GitHub and know how to deploy their own code. To now we're using Agent GPT, which will essentially bypass all that, pull from Auto GPT, and essentially keep it recursive, finding other LLMs until the job's done. And so I think the masses are starting to really see how exponentially fast this can be solved, right? Or just evolve, maybe not solve, evolve. Now, you take that and you apply it to FSD. All right. Now, I know Elon's been saying next year, next year, next year. Well, the point is you're seeing how fast this progression is. This 11 branch with the full stack branch, I guess you could think of it, the rate of improvement and the rate of pushing out updates is, I think, the fastest we've ever seen. And I watched a couple videos of 11.4, which hasn't come out yet, but this is a 2023 branch, I believe. It just looks absolutely phenomenal, right? Now they're working on, can we get into the right lane ahead of time? Can we be more predictive of what's next? And I can't wait to try it out because it looks phenomenal. So my point is with all this, the earnings, the margins, and all that really is one, take a step back, look at the economy, look where we are. All right. Everybody is hurting. Sales for everything are down. Layoffs are happening. Banks are going under. World War III or four, or five, or whatever is constantly being threatened. Nuclear this, nuclear that is the rhetoric everywhere. And Tesla still was able to do what they did for Q1. All right, and this is also the weakest quarter they tend to have. They still have factories ramping up. They announced a new gigafactory, right? And all through this, they're still doing well. They still have crazy good margins. They're selling every vehicle they can produce, and FSD is getting better, faster, and faster and faster. So I think the real goal is not just to sell every vehicle they can produce. Obviously, that's a byproduct, but I think the real goal is to get as much data as they can, as soon as they can, so that they can get FSD beta to a point where they can at least offer a Robotaxi, right? So just a little side tangent here, real quick. And I think you're already seeing this, and it's been the first real example. This is Elon's supposedly suing Microsoft. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but you're gonna this I think this era will die soon of of companies like OpenAI or anyone else, right? Being able to go and just crawl the internet and learn off of this mass data set that they have, right? You'll see where everything starts to get locked down, right? Twitter's not going to let you scrape them for learning. Craigslist won't let you scrape it. You're going to see more and more of this, and it's fair, right? But you know what the real irony of all this is? Where was this protection of data for social media users, right? Yeah, funny how that didn't happen. But these tech companies sure are smart about what they're doing. All right, so I had a couple other things I want to talk about here. Um, okay, so demand. Is there a demand issue? Yes and no is the way I would say it. And it's funny because when we were on our live stream, people were talking about how the the way Elon just or talks or defines demand is different than most of us do. But I think Elon speaks about it in the right way, to be honest. And this isn't me just agreeing with Elon to agree with him, but I think the way he sees it is that demand isn't a problem so long as you can lower pricing. And so for other companies, that might be a problem. But Tesla has all this pricing power that they could literally drop the margins down to 0% and still be fine, because as long as you believe in full self-driving autonomy in the future, you're still going to make profit off those cars. Whereas if Tesla dropped their margins to 0%, they would have wait lists for the product. So that's not going to happen, in my opinion, unless you know crazy nuclear war happens, invasions, Great Recession, depression happens, but I don't see any of that coming. It, and it's funny. I don't even know if I talked about interest rates, but it goes to demand. So demand is somewhat of a problem where they do lack demand to an extent at the prices that they've been at. And so it makes sense for them to lower their prices. And it's not that people don't want Tesla. People want Teslas. It's the affordability of it. And the affordability isn't necessarily that Tesla has priced these too high. It's that even if Tesla hadn't moved their prices, but interest rates continue to go up, that makes the Tesla vehicle more expensive. So it's kind of this catch 22, right? So they got to do what they got to do. And Tesla is of the mindset, hey, we'd rather take in less profit, but get the vehicles out there, not have to build up a supply, and get as much data as we can so we can continue to iterate, continue to learn. It seems to me like they're building their own mapping, like their own Google Maps, overlaid Google Maps maybe as a like a confirmation. I don't know. I could be making this up, but they have so many vehicles out there that seems like that this may be something that they start doing. So I think demand's a tricky one. It just depends on how you look at it, right? It's is it glass half full, glass half empty? It's really up to you. What I do know to be true is that today, my best friend, who lives like just right over there from me, a couple houses away, he went ahead and bought a Model Y Performance with FSD. So not subscription, he with the full FSD, the whole 15K. So and it's funny because we talked about this. I think was it during our poker game? We had a poker game on Thursday. We might have talked about it then it was on 420. We had a poker game. um, I forget when we talked about it, but he he's been talking about wanting to buy a Model Y, and I think yeah, you know what? It was before that because then we had the price cuts, and this is why he really pulled the trigger down. But he couldn't believe how much the pricing had dropped, and for him to go ahead and buy this when I know that he's kind of in a austerity mindset, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, like he's he makes a really good living, a very smart individual. He's a intellectual property attorney, so none of that's issue. But you know, during times like this, we all try to tighten the belts a little bit. But for him when I know where his mind is, and I know that he's trying to pinch pennies and be very smart and diligent, but prices came down to a point where he thought, you know what, this is reasonable enough. It's not cheap, maybe, but it's something that he was willing to do. That says a lot. What also said something to me was a friend of his. She bought a Model 3 the week before that, right? And so maybe that led to him to buying it because one of those FOMOs or jealousy kind of things. Like I get it because now that he's sitting there buying one, she's buying one, right? It's just it gets contagious. But my point is, people who before wouldn't have bought a Tesla because they were too expensive are now buying them. So there is something there. I think that they are being bought up. We were talking today before he put his order in. He was looking at inventory, and there's only one Model Y Performance within a 200-mile radius that he could get that was in inventory. So it doesn't seem like inventory is a big issue right now. It seems like Tesla might have found a sweet spot with where they are right now, and even the Model S, they raised prices there just the other day, and Model S and X, I think. So I think we'll be fine long term. I can't stress this enough. Don't be a long term person and then get all sour on a quarterly earning result, which is such a short term and even a dated, point in time look back at the company and the health of it. The company's extremely healthy. Now, if you don't believe in autonomy, if you don't believe in FSD, if you don't believe in Optimus, well, then I can understand why you might not be too happy today or with the earnings call. But if you believe in the mission, if you believe, I mean, I don't understand people at this point who don't think the autonomy is going to get solved. I mean, I don't live where you live. I live where I live, so I know how it works around where I'm at. I see people in Texas like Farzad with Cindy. I see them driving around. I see Omar out in California. I see uh I think his name's Black Tesla over in New York. I see him driving there. I see um Frenchie over in Chicago, and it seems like it's going pretty good for everybody, right? It's just we're just getting closer and closer to where it needs to be. Once we're there, I really feel like it's going to be like a light switch moment. I think Herbert actually, we've been on a few streams together where he's invited me onto his a few times, and we both have the same agreement. I think you'll have a viral moment with Tesla and Tesla Robotaxis, the way you saw with ChatGPT. It'll take longer because ChatGPT, all you had to do is put a web interface in front of it, and you could. It was free to use, right? The masses could use it immediately, so it'll take a little bit longer, but you can still have a viral effect with Tesla FSD. And I think where it'll happen will be once they actually start to solve for parking lots and summon and all that, where you'll start to see like TikToks and YouTube shorts of people just hailing their car and it just pulling up right as they walk out the grocery store, walk out some, I don't know, some other influencer place, and their Tesla just pulls up and they just get in it and they drive off and they didn't have to go, or they just pull up to a mall or to some other fancy store and they get out of their car and the car just goes and parks itself and it picks up. Like I can see something like that happening. There'll just be a viral moment, and from there it'll be it'll literally, not owning a EV, especially not, or even a Tesla, really, not only a Tesla or an EV in general, we'll get to a point where it looks like you're in the Stone Ages. It looks like you have like you're like on the beach, like Michael Douglas in Wall Street on just this huge brick of a phone, right? That's what it'll be like driving an ICE car. Or it'll be viewed as smoking, or like somebody's trying to smoke on an airplane or in a restaurant. I think that's exactly how it'll be viewed. Let me go through some of these comments because there's a lot of stuff here. Let's see. And I am not going to pre-read these, so hopefully there's nothing inappropriate. All right. Shouldn't the Wall Street compare? Well, can I? Let me see. Can I show this? Ah, look at that. Nice. New software is even easier than my other software to do this. Shouldn't the Wall Street compare Tesla earnings to other analogs, legacy auto, rather than internal year-over-year margin growth? Um, so I get why you would say that, but no, I don't think so. I think Tesla is just too much of a different company. Like if you compare them to other legacy autos, it's almost like a gimme, It's we know that's going to look better, but I think we want Tesla to be compared against Tesla. That's the only way to really be true. I mean, because you gotta remember, like Tesla's not even just Tesla, right? I mean, they've got revenue coming in from FSD and autopilot. They've got Tesla Energy. They got the insurance business. They got the superchargers. They've got a million other things I'm not listing off right now. So I get the point here. I 100% get the point here, but I don't think it's apples to apples. Now, what I would say, if you were to compare it to how Ford broke out their EV business, I could see that. Maybe that makes sense. But even then, like, how do you compare with Tesla? Like, I feel like you'd have to take out a lot of things to make a true apple for apples. And frankly, I don't see. I'd rather Tesla be compared to like an Apple, an Amazon, a Microsoft as a tech company. But I don't know. I guess that's just me being, I don't know, stubborn. Let's see. Uh, let's see. You moron. A criminal president must be prosecuted. Otherwise, we would be a third world country. Okay. Well, that's someone's very heated here. So sorry that you're so triggered by what I said. But you can't really call anybody a criminal. They're innocent until proven guilty. Otherwise, we would be in a third world country. So thanks for the comment. Let's see what else we got here. Told you I'm just clicking on these. Is Tesla screwed? I was screwed invested. uh yeah, hey, I hear you. Depending on when you bought in, it's been rough, but again, the narrative hasn't changed, the story hasn't changed. What has changed is the economy, right? Tesla, since let's say you bought at the highs in 2021. Since then, Tesla's opened two new factories. Tesla has continued their, more or less 50% year over year. FSD's gotten better, energy's grown. I mean, like it's not a Tesla story to me, it's the economy. And I think, if we start being honest about that and taking some of our own emotions out of it, a lot of that really comes through. All right, what else we got here? A lot of online streaming services allow people to pay more to avoid ads. So I feel the ad landscape is changing a lot. Not sure it will have the same value. Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Yeah, ads are interesting. It's like I personally hate ads, but at the same time, I don't want to pay for everything. So it's like, like I I hate the idea of subscriptions, to be honest. Like subscriptions are great, but they're also awful, right? Subscriptions are great because you could pay a low amount of money every month and get the latest and greatest of whatever it is you're buying, right? Like take TurboTax for example. Like I remember like back in the day, if you want TurboTax, like every year you had to go buy the new software for the new upgrade to get the whatever. You don't have to do that anymore, right? So, but the problem with subscriptions is that let's say I'm just gonna use these numbers, but let's say you bring home $1,000 a month. That's it, $1,000, okay, after taxes and everything. All right. Well, let's say you have rent that's at, say these are horribly unrealistic numbers, but $400 a month. Okay, so you have 600 left. Another $100 for all your utilities and everything. All right, that's 500. Okay, and then you got to eat. So let's say it's another 100. All right, so you're down to 400. Okay, so then if you have, your subscription to Netflix, to Disney Plus, if you have your subscription, like I just got back from a car wash, if you have a subscription to a car wash, if you have a subscription to, I don't know, what else do people do, to Uber, to whatever, like there gets to a point where your subscriptions kind of eat up all of your take home pay, and then you don't have money to spend, or to, on other things, or to invest, or to save. So subscriptions are tricky because they can quickly creep into your disposable income and just you know take over a lion's share of it. So I don't know. But that's where ads can kind of come into play, where for something like Facebook or Twitter, whatever, the way you can get those things for free is because there are ads in there. So you know I get it. Like it's either way. um let's see. Arrived late, but global politics is, in engineering terms, an undamped system, at least somewhere, all the time. It's nothing new, but today, news, information is instant, often biased, wrong. Yeah, uh, uh, focusing on this last part, often biased and wrong. I think if you've followed, and thanks for the comment, Roger. If you've followed Tesla long enough, and you see how the media covers them, like it's just so obvious how much the media is wrong, lies, or they don't do their due diligence, right? And this is just talking about from Tesla, right? Like perfect example that just happened was the SpaceX launch. If you watched it, if you know about what's going on, you know that just Starship getting off of the landing pad and not catering in the foundation there was success. The fact that it went for as long as it did was amazing. It was extreme success. They got so much telemetry from tele. Wow, I can't even say that word anymore. But they got so much data from that launch that they get to go back and they can make changes, iterate, and try again. Meanwhile, the press, the media, even Charlie Sheen had a tweet criticizing Elon for their Starship exploded and it was a big fail kind of thing. It's once you see that once, where something that you know a lot about, deeply about, and you hear these people talk about it incorrectly, you hear them spin something or say something that's just false or just even using vernacular that isn't correct, right? Jargon they're using it in the wrong way, you just lose all credibility for them. And that's what I just covering Teslas deeply as I have. SpaceX. I don't follow SpaceX as close as I do with Tesla, but even with all this, AI stuff and everything, and people are acting like LLMs are brand new and they haven't existed for many years. It's it just shows you how incompetent, how biased, how ignorant the media really is. And this isn't me against the media or anything like that, but it this is why I love things like YouTube, things like Twitter, where it's become a democratization of information, and you can really pull and lean on people who really study certain topics, right? Like if you want to know about the chemistry of certain things to do with batteries, you can go and listen to the limiting factor, right? If you want to go and know about health, you can listen to Andrew Huberman. If you want to listen, I mean, whatever, right? I mean, there's so many different things that you can go really detail into. Watch these people who go and that's all they do. They just focus on these things. So why would you ever listen to the media? Like, why would you go and listen to them? I mean, why would you listen to me? I don't know. I'm more entertainment, I guess. Just someone who gives their opinions on these things. But the point is YouTube, Twitter has democratized information so that if you really want to know about something, you really want to learn about something, you don't have to take the 90-second segment that these people have to talk about that have to be politically aligned to their ideology of their network, whether it's a CNN, an MSNBC, a Fox, right? You can just go and get actual truth based on actual data from people who are actually talking for more than 90-second clips, 30-second clips, and you can listen to them straight for 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, right? And really get an understanding of what's happening, right? I hear these people and they have these like, quick talking points, etc. And they're like, oh, wow. Oh, how did that happen? Oh, look at this. And oh, this is scary. Oh, this is a big deal. Oh, this can't be good. And there's just no nuance at all. And then you know what the funny thing is? The moment they do try to get nuance is whenever they're hitting the back against their opponent, right? Whenever their opponent is sitting there saying, "Oh, what are you talking about? You're leaving this out and that out." It's like, "Oh, now we want to get nuanced." This is why politics is a joke. We care about being nuanced and detailed and actually understanding whenever it comes to our ideologies or defending our stuff. Anyways, let me see. Sorry, I want to rant there. Barry Daughtry. That sounds like a band name. I agree with you. The more first-time Tesla owners they can get, the better they will be. Yeah, 100%. Like, think about it. Once I can't. It's so hard not to go back to the smartphone analogy, but once once I got an iPhone and I was on the Apple ecosystem, I couldn't go back. Like I will never ever go to an Android. If I ever stop using an iPhone, it'll be probably because I have something implanted in my brain and I don't need it anymore, right? But unless like I don't see a better OS and I don't see something better working with my computer and just all of it, right? And there's also like a luxuriness to it, right? Like the other week, I went with my phone without a case on it for 2 weeks, and I forgot how sexy this phone is just without a case. Like there's just something so nice about it, and you get the same thing with Tesla, right? You get that same type of branding, that same kind of quality. You get the same OS type feel of it. It's just so nice. And once you've experienced that, you're not going back. I don't think you will at all. Anyways, great. I agree. Thanks for agreeing with me. Karen Smith, good to see you again. Hey, good to see you. Appreciate you jumping on. They train on Discord too. Yeah, see, all this stuff's gonna stop. You're not gonna be able to train on anything you want, right? Like I think what is it? Reddit. I think Reddit is starting to clamp down on that as well. They're not gonna let you scrape their stuff. If they really want data, they should offer 3 months of free FSD with every purchase. That's I kind of like this idea personally. I want to see Tesla do free trials with FSD, right? I mean, maybe they're not ready quite yet. Like maybe once they get parking lots, that'd be a great time. But I think eventually they will get to that. I also I also would like to see. Well, I guess they probably won't do this. So as a user, I think it would be great for them to go to a FSD by mile type type pricing, but they probably won't do that because as a shareholder, I would rather they keep it monthly. And the reason they don't do this is because they would just probably just make less money. I think. Hmm. I don't know, but with I guarantee, obviously with Robotaxi, it'll be probably by the mile. So it'll be interesting to see what that juxtaposition is. And actually, if you keep it at a monthly price for non Robotaxi taxis, right? So individuals who want to use FSD, if you keep out a monthly subscription, I think that'll incentivize people to put it into a Robotaxi network. That would be interesting. Yeah. Something else I've thought about is, and I was you're probably not gonna believe me, but I was thinking about this before I read this, but I also went ahead and read Tasha Kinney's new report for Tesla stock price. And something that she had mentioned in there is Tesla should start off, just go ahead and start creating a robotaxi network, right? App, etc. For people who have Teslas and use FSD. And I think that would actually be genius, right? Like, why not start now? Like, how can hurt? Like, I mean, hell, make it so that the owners get all the profits. Think of how many more Teslas you'll buy then, right? Don't assume any profits at all. Just go for break even. The same way you're doing insurance and superchargers. Do that for a robo taxi network right now, or for a Uber like network right now. And then once Robotaxi comes, then you can kind of flip that script. But this way, you'll get more people buying Teslas, more people jumping off Uber or Lyft to go and work for Tesla. I think that'd be great, and all the knowledge you would gain from that. Anyways, let's see. Speaking of FSD, yeah, FSD is learning faster with more input and fewer edge cases. It's going to be fine. I agree. I agree. Nuevo Leon will create 5 million cars, and they will all be sold to fleet operators without wheels and pedals, um, steering wheels. Uh, Once fleet operators see the insane economics of it, they'll buy all they can get. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want Tesla to not go to fleet operators. I kind of want Tesla to keep that internal, just kind of continue the vertical integration. But yeah, I mean, I could easily see this being the route. Like why deal with how do you clean them? The maintenance and all that. Like you might as well just use that as a way for you to get more revenue mid year. Okay, let's see. Are you still holding on to all your cash to deploy under $100? So I will probably deploy my cash. Well, I'm taking it kind of day by day, to be honest. I'm just waiting to see something change. I think the Fed is close to pausing. I kind of think that they're going to. I don't know if they're going to pause this next time. I think they'll do another rate hike to get to where they said they would get to, and to I really hope this isn't the reason why, but I kind of think their egos in a way. And if they stop now, it'll look like they caved under the pressure of everything else versus, just going based on what they're seeing from their data that they supposedly keep looking at. So anyway, so until I start seeing things change, I'm still hesitant to really deploy my cash right now. I think after Q2 earnings, I think that's where I may start looking, but we'll see. I mean, every day I'm, making a new assessment. So what I say today could change tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see. The reason I'm saying Q2 is because I think we will, from a Tesla perspective, I think we could see, further decline in margins, and people will continue to freak out like the way they did right now. Um, I don't know if we'll get back to $100, um, but the other thing that could, like, completely send the stock up would be the Fed pausing, the Fed cutting, so you never know. Like, you just have to take it day by day. But yeah, right now I'm just, just hoarding cash until I feel like it's a good time to deploy. Um, I also think it's good to just dollar cost average and not do anything. But I think in this environment during these times, cash is king is has never rang more true. Let's see. They definitely need margin increase. That's how you make profit. In the short term, I agree. Long term, I think they can increase margin in other ways. Have you sold? Nope, no selling. What else? Here in Germany, I don't see too many Teslas, to be honest. Hmm. Well, that's interesting. So, so I don't know how to take this. You don't see too many Teslas, to be honest, but then you have like a Pinocchio nose. Does that mean you do see a lot of Teslas? I don't know. I feel like Auto here really doesn't like Tesla's the vibe I'm getting. What do you think about robotaxis this year? I don't know if the robotaxi will come out this year. Probably not. Yeah, I don't think the factory will be done, but I think the network might be set up this year. I think FSD is probably going to get there in the next year, maybe this year. We'll just have to see. I mean, like once you start seeing them work on parking lots, I think that's when you'll know we're close. Like things like parking lots, nailing U-turns, avoiding potholes, better interaction with humans, like during construction areas in general. Um, Speed bumps, they still need to do better on those. Um, what else? Um, I would like to see a Tesla go backwards a little bit. That'd be good to see. I mean, really, that's it. I mean, I say that's it. That's a lot of stuff, but like those things are not as hard as the stuff that they've already solved, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, and even then, like I don't think that they will be allowed to just snap of a finger have robotaxis everywhere. I think it'll be a lot like how insurance works, where it's a slow rollout, where you have to get regulator approval as you go through. But we'll see. I mean, maybe they can, but I don't think so. I think they'll have to go kind of state by state, city by city. Let's see. Uh, let's see. What else we got here? Oh, that's nice. Thank you for your time, Nick. I'll watch the rest later. Long live Tesla. I like that. All right. Let's see. Tesla smoking it, buying monthly. Love that. Love that. Short sellers having a party now. Maybe pick it up at already 100. uh, all right. What else we got here? Will Tesla ever have an iPhone App Store moment? Maybe once you have robotaxis, I could see that. Right? That's the other thing. Like, who knows what happens once we have robotaxis? Right? All of a sudden, the whole what we understand as the inside of a vehicle just flips upside down. And I think that's what Franz was, or yeah, I'm not even gonna try to say that Holzhausen, something like that. But I think that's what Franz was alluding to about his favorite product is the one that he can't talk about. I think that's going to have to do with a lot of interesting things inside. I would be shocked if they released a robo taxi without it being specked out inside for other ways to generate revenue. Just a different concept of how an experience should be. It seems like Franz is definitely working on that, and to echo him, the mission isn't done yet. All right. So I just want to hop on and just kind of, zoom out. Like I said, open up the aperture and think about things a little more holistically. Let's stop thinking about things in a quarter to quarter basis. And if you're a long term investor, then be a long term investor. And don't get upset about these quarter to quarter things, especially again when we zoom out and you see what's going on with the world. All right, this isn't Tesla screwing up. We can have this argument about advertising all day long, but at the end of the day, I put my trust more so in the people inside the company who know what's going on. They know what their mission is. They know what their goal is. Like, do you really think they haven't weighed whether or not they should get into advertising? Maybe they will. Maybe they're just waiting for a certain point before they decide, okay, now we have to. Maybe there's a reason why they're not doing it and we don't know it. Sure, they can communicate it to us, but they don't have to. They already communicate a lot to us that no other company does. So, you know, just take a step back, chill out, enjoy life, go have a drink, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your family, enjoy each other. Let's be nice with one another. I think if there's one thing all of these, kind of exterior, macro forces, effects, whether it's Tesla being down, whether it's the threat of a world war, whether it's, crazy presidential elections, whether it's interest rates, the one thing that you can always, kind of lean back on is that every day is a new day. And you can either choose to be stressed about what's going on that you can't control, or you can just say, kind of screw it. Things will work out in the long run. History has proven that out time and time again. Let's just enjoy this day. Let's appreciate for what it is. Let's enjoy our family and let's just keep that the focus. Because if you try to worry about all these little things every single day, it is going to eat you up and it's going to tear you down. So don't do that. Don't do that. Right? Like, don't be in a rush to become this multi-millionaire, next week. Don't worry about it. If you're doing the right things, if you're being disciplined, it'll happen. All right. It's just get up, go to work, save your money, invest your money, take care of your family, brush your teeth, go to the gym, eat as healthy as you can, have a lot of empathy for other people. Don't assume negative intent, assume people are doing certain things, or, if someone wrongs you, hey, maybe just try to be a little more understanding and just try to live a more positive life. And before you know it, we'll be out of this macro environment. Things will be better. Tesla will eventually be at all-time highs again. We'll have robotaxis. Life will be great. We'll all be crazy, stupid millionaires, and yeah, we'll be on here celebrating together. So we'll leave it at that. Hopefully, you guys didn't notice too much change with this setup. Like I said, I'm using StreamYard now. I've literally had it for this last hour, so I'm still getting used to it. But yeah, it'll be fun to be back. All right, I'm gonna look at this one last comment just because it came up. Roger says, Nick, third world ear. Search Sting Russians. That's how it was in the 1980s. Today's nothing. Yep, I agree. Yeah, anyone who was back in the 80s, yeah, I agree. Well said, Roger. And I like that perspective, right? Like, just look back to today. We have it so easy now, so easy. On our worst possible days, you can still go turn your TV on, watch Netflix, you know, order food that gets delivered to you, all for like $20. Like, it's crazy the time period that we live in. So let's enjoy it. All right, I love you all. Thank you for welcoming me back. I will be on again, as I said. I'll be at the RSA conference in San Fran all next week. So if you happen to see someone who looks like this, maybe it's me. Stop me and say hi. All right, love you all. Cheers.